I'll go a step further. You're going in the wood chipper.
I don't blame. I don't mind that. That's one thing.
Remember, if you advocate and want a country of laws and not of men that get angry and throw people in wood chipper, right? If we want a country of laws,
system convicts them, puts them in the wood chipper.
Again, they're not going to have it, right? But it's unpalatable at times to have to deal with things that you don't like, you don't want to hear, that piss you the off. But that is the only difference between our country and every other country on the planet, is that you have the right to say and do things that piss everyone else off without being deported, without going to jail. It's when you do something, it's your actions that get you held accountable.
Yeah.
You can say, and you may be wildly unpopular and no one wants to talk to you, but you still have the right to do it.
This is Sparta!
Welcome back to Spartan Leadership. I'm your host, Josh Kosnick, and this is your podcast for leadership, inspiration, and impact. If this is your first time joining us, we have 2 different episodes or shows within the show, and typically we are interviewing entrepreneurs, getting that leadership, that inspiration and impact from them. And once a month we do these leadership and reviews where typically we're just talking shit on our politicians because they're terrible in general right now. But no, in all seriousness, we address politics, community, and all things alike to see where leadership is succeeding or failing. And I'm joined by my esteemed co-hosts. We got one, Emanuel, the greatest man alive.
That would be me.
And Jason Smith, our resident genius, former constitutional attorney, now esteemed entrepreneur, business owner. Welcome back to the studio, boys.
Thank you very much. That is quite the overstatement.
Good to be back.
I thought I was just here to bring down the average intelligence, but I guess it's going the other way.
Well, bringing up the intelligence are these amazing tasting room cigars, blended by Rocky Patel.
Yeah, thank you. If we're being honest, it really was Nish, his brother, that did the blend on this, and
Rocky's the face.
I'm sure they'll set it straight at some point. But I just had the pleasure of spending about 5 days with those guys down in the Dominican Republic.
And before that, they were here for homecoming.
And Rocky and Nish are. Rocky is a UW alum, a big Badger fan. Comes here every year for homecoming, and so every year we hang out at the tasting room.
It's the first time I met him.
Yeah,
it was at a tailgate, and we were throwing a football around, and he was throwing a football around at a separate tailgate, and one of the cigars fall out of his coat pocket. I said, "Hey, that's a great cigar," and he goes, "Here you go." And he introduced himself.
Interesting story. That's a good way to meet.
It was a great way of meeting.
Oh, you didn't know who he was at the time?
No, I did.
Oh,
I didn't put 2 and 2 together, right?
Wow.
I didn't expect to see.
This goes back to that whole average intelligence thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I didn't expect to see, someone like that there. And then secondly, it wasn't even on my radar that, one of the top 5 cigar brand makers in the world is at a UW Badger tailgate. Yeah. So, no, it was fun. All right, we're going to hop into this episode. So we only do these once a month, and as everyone knows nowadays, the world and the news cycle changes by the minute. So we got a lot to catch up on. But most pressing, we're recording this the day after elections on the East Coast were done, and we got a new communist mayor in New York City. A couple Democrats won in other states. What's your guys' take? What's going on?
I could probably look at it a little different than you guys. Before I get to calling somebody a communist like the Democrats tried to do Trump, give them a chance, see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen to New York. New York may flip and become a utopia. But as far as just jumping on the bandwagon, I'm looking at the brighter side of someone bucking the system, going against AIPAC money, going against the Republicans' money, going against the Democratic machine money, and winning is kind of a little light at the end of the tunnel for me. So people, I'm not upset for what they want. If New York want to vote him in, that's the problem with politics right now. All the Republicans are so caught up into the New York mayoral run because it's bucking the system. They're losing their power. That's
how do you think he took all the Democrats' money? His major funder was Alex Soros.
No, I'm not saying Soros. I'm talking about the powers to be, the people that suppresses the vote. The establishment wanted Cuomo. Nobody wanted him. The Republican establishment didn't want him. The Democratic establishment didn't want him. The people spoke. At the end of the day,
I got to totally disagree, because he had AOC, he had all the endorsements. Cuomo had
That's
none.
the radical left. That's the radical left. They don't.
But that is the left now.
Yeah, but they don't possess the major power. The good old boy system of the establishment is crumbling. It's encouraging to me. I don't care if New York want to go to crumbles and they suffer the consequences just like Chicago. They have a right to commit suicide. I see the right so caught up into them destroying their own city. I don't have to live in New York. I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. If you want shit, that's what you get. So that's just the way I look at it. Why are we fighting the fact the Republicans should be encouraging that? Let New York go to hell, and then the next time to vote, they'll say, we don't want that anymore. You got to touch fire before you know it burns. So I don't know why everybody on the road, oh my God. You should be happy that they voted such a lunatic in and let the cards lay where they may.
I think there's a fair point in that regard. I think that also New York has typically been seen as like the beacon. Like it's the business beacon, it's the hub, it's the diversity hub. Like it's America is what people see.
And it's a sanctuary city. And you see what they've been getting.
Agreed.
Right. It needs to burn all the way down until they just can't let it burn anymore.
But I think that's where the hate's coming from, is like, who doesn't love New York to go visit New York City? Like, I was just there. Like,
I wouldn't want to visit with the shit that they look at all these Democratic sanctuary.
I can tell you
look at all the sanctuary cities, San Francisco. I don't want to go to Chicago. I don't want to go to nothing. Keep letting it burn. You ask for lemons, you won't get lemonade out of this. So they voted the people in. I'm happy what they did. Do what you do, New York. Go for it. There's no skin off my back. That's the bottom line.
And I agree. I'm not ever gonna. I visited, like, even our last trip there in October. You know, Jenna and I are walking around Manhattan. You know, my book is up on the billboard in Times Square.
Nice.
And we're walking around there going, imagine being your only nature being Central Park. Like, you don't see a tree unless you go to Central Park. Like we could never live there. But it was a nice visit.
It's a beautiful place to visit.
It's a nice visit.
It's a lively city.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of
at all hours,
moving
all
and
days.
shaking. Yeah, it's a city that never.
And I think
sleeps.
that's where the hate's coming from. Is people love like the concept of hope or business that.
I think it's deeper than that, man. The hate's really coming from the right. You can't call someone until you go through it. You can't get to it. You know what I'm saying? You can't just judge a book by its cover. You don't know if his policies are going to work. I speak on stuff.
Well, you can judge on what he said thus far.
What you say, Donald Trump says a lot of stuff. He might not do it. But actually, what you say and what you do are totally two different things. Until they go through 4 years of him, then I'll come back and I'll talk about it. What if his little communist things work? What if New York gets better? I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't bother me that this dude won. I'm going to give him a chance. Just like they gave Joe Biden a chance 4 years, and it was horrible. But before he got into office, you could say what you want to say. My whole thing is the proof is in the pudding, and I don't know what tomorrow brings. The past is history. Tomorrow's a mystery, and we'll see in 4 years.
Yeah, I would say, it's not uncommon for a political candidate to make a bunch of outlandish claims to rally up your base and get voter turnout. And the day after the election, right, that's where the rubber hits the road. Yeah. So if he really turns out to not support the NYPD, if he does follow through and say, I'm not going to prosecute criminals,
free bus system, free healthcare,
and I'm going to arbitrarily freeze rent levels, and I'm going to have government-owned grocery stores. Yeah. If he follows through with those things, I mean, if you can read a history book, you know how it ends. But I'm open to see what happens. I doubt it's a different ending, but if it is, well then. Kudos to you.
I'm happy it's not a city where I have to be the experiment.
Exactly.
We're experiments every day in every city we live in, and none of us are Nostradamus. But at the end of the day, I don't know if his thing. What if they work? What if New York makes a turnaround? I don't know. I guess I'm just really fed up with politics as a whole because the people that I thought were going to make a difference are still playing ball. Whatever this guy is, Kush Patel, and even Trump and all of this other stuff, man. It's just, I know how the sausage is being made, and you see America coming second to everyone else except America. That kind of pisses me off. And you see the suppression coming from the right now. You know, I want to cancel Tucker Carlson. And I'm just, at the end of the day, I'm sick of BLM. I'm sick of AIPAC. I'm sick of people who have the fucking audacity to claim to be an elite. I'm a chosen person. Already you're separating yourself. You know, I'm so sick of that. Black people aren't chosen. White people aren't chosen. We are equal. And then you get certain groups of people saying they're the chosen one. You get Black Lives Matter walking around like they're just God's gift to this earth and special people. At the end of the fucking day, we're all equal. And I'm sick of elite groups that you categorize themselves. You know, when you look at me, if someone say, who is Emanuel? I'm a black man. No, I'm not a religion. I'm not a gang member. I'm not a Crip. You don't define me from an elite group. Define me as a human first and foremost. You know, define me as a friend. Just look how black separate. If you see a black dude in red, he's not a black dude anymore. He's a Crip or he's a blood. Now you separating yourself to be in this elite group. I don't want that. I want everyone to be equal. I don't want no one be off limits. I don't want nobody coming for Fuentes. I don't want nobody coming from Tucker Carlson, because they have freedom of thought and freedom of speech. If you don't like it, you don't have to support them people. And sometimes the fucking truth hurts. And that's when I'm upset. I've just been watching a lot of stuff. Cancel him, cancel that. You got black people talking about Fuentes because what he said about black people. Some of the shit is real. And the only way to get better is accept the truth and try to correct it. I'm sick of people, I'm a special group of people. You can't touch me. You can't say anything about me. And before I go on my little rant, the best thing you can do to a person is say, stop telling me how good you are. What do you do wrong? And you'll see an elite group. We don't do anything wrong. We're God's perfect human beings. Just ask somebody from an opposing side, what do you do wrong? Because if you ask me what my people do wrong, we could be here for about 4 hours. Because I'm real like that. And you ask other groups of people, what do you do wrong? We're perfect. We don't do anything wrong.
Yeah, that's real. Actually, I do want to segue just briefly, because I've always been curious about this. If a white person, like let's use Jeffrey Dahmer as an example. We're in Wisconsin. We've had a couple really famous serial killers that come from Wisconsin. And obviously heinous crimes. White dude, serial killer. All of us white people are like, throw that motherfucker in the wood chipper.
Yeah.
A black person goes and sprays up 30 people in Chicago.
They won't even label him a serial killer.
They will not only won't they label him a serial killer, they'll claim him as a victim.
Mm-hmm. That's how
they won't hold him accountable at all. And that's what I've always been curious about. Is like, no, there's bad people on this earth of all races, of all religions, of all genders, which there are only 2 genders, but all. It doesn't matter. There's bad people and there's good people. But what is it about the black community that won't hold their own accountable? Because if I say it, I'm racist.
Yeah.
If I say that black people are 13% of the American population and represent 56% of violent crimes, I'm automatically racist, even though I'm just stating a stat.
Like that goes back to what I'm saying. When you make people off limits, when you make people untouchable, when the media says a young black man can go shoot up a whole entire football game, kill 7 people, and they label it as, we're not even going to report on this. But if you flip the colors around, it'd be headline news. That's what I'm saying. I am sick of untouchables. I'm not down with the Elliot Ness crew, the untouchables. It's certain groups of people and it's certain things that they sweep under the rug. I was sitting at the tasting room and this teacher came in and she was talking about this kid that got damn near beat to death at school. And she couldn't even touch the subject as a teacher. She couldn't go break it up. She couldn't say anything. They had a no talking, a gag order on the whole situation because it would make the school look bad. So somebody had to slip the media, a cell phone video before the media would even touch it because Wes was trying to suppress this, and it makes them look bad.
I can't remember. I think it was a Wisconsin-Milwaukee incident where the cop had to shoot a black man, but the body cam footage came out.
Yeah.
That was Milwaukee, right?
Yeah.
And the parents said, no, hold them accountable. Right? The parents stood up in that instance, but that's a rare example.
Yeah, them parents aren't the heroes that they were talking about.
I'm not saying they're heroes.
No, but they were forced to say this. See, I watched the whole thing about that. They were trying to get a lawsuit at first. They went and hired a lawyer, but they were, let's go sue. Let's do our media run. He would never do that. Hey, men lie, women lie. Video don't lie unless you got some great AI. So
he's got a new quote.
No, but the proof was in the pudding. Thank God that the dude had a dash cam, and it showed the other guy being the aggressor. Then the family were forced to say he was wrong.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though, is because from the community, it's always the black community is always the perpetrator is the victim.
Yeah,
and there's no accountability. And I think body cams, dash cams, and being police, law enforcement being able to enforce.
Don't have people say, "Oh, he's only talking about the black." And, you got the home team. We'll put it like that. Biased people are always going to jump.
Well, there's
on
always
the side.
bias. What I'm saying though is, if it's a Mexican community, if it's a white community, like and one of our people do that, one of our team, as we say, or whatever.
We're the tribal nature of humans.
No, fuck them. Put them in
some of the times. I think it's more of an individual. It can't go into a group, because you'll have Hispanics out here with his Mexican flags promoting criminal acts of breaking into this country and protesting here, but they won't protest at home. You have down south,
because they'll get killed at home.
Yeah, but then you'll have Southerners, or you'll have a white group of people who will say, "Oh, he didn't do this." Even it goes from the elite, the have-yachts, into the have-nots. You have an elite group of people where their family are prestigious and their family has a big name in the community, and they'll say, "My kid." I mean, just look at the kid who ran over someone. He was drunk driving, killed everyone in the car, and they said he suffered from privilege syndrome, And
where was that?
That was down.
Did you remember that?
That
was a couple years ago.
Yeah, it was some years ago. He killed a bunch of people, and they said he can't go to jail because he suffers from privilege syndrome.
That his parents had been so overprotective, and he was so sheltered that he really didn't understand what it was to take personal responsibility.
So then put his parents in the fucking prison.
And it worked.
And it did work. Now he was a white kid.
Yeah, So it goes all around the board. But I get what you're saying, and you have to hold people and actions accountable. You see this happening in the school districts every day. They won't ever come up with numbers. They won't come up with the numbers from test scores. They won't come up with numbers from violence, because the numbers shed a light on
because men lie, women lie.
Unless you got some great
numbers don't lie.
Got some great AI.
That was your original quote. You just changed it to the video.
Yeah, because that is just the truth. It really is.
I guess what you guys were both touching on is that it's disappointing that you have, because you're a particular member or identify as a member of a particular group, that if someone commits some horrible act, if I just happen to be in that, identify as a member of that group, I will say and do anything. I mean, CNN or MSNBC, they'll omit or doctor video, right? They'll misquote things. Just to protect whoever that person is on their team.
CNN's been busted for that, for lightening the skin of someone to try and claim that they weren't black in an instance.
It's beyond race now. It has hit political lines now. The first thing people say is when something happens that's a shooting or something.
Well, Charlie Kirk thing came out.
I hope he's not on this side. I hope he's not on that side. So it has surpassed the color line by far. It's left, right. I hope it's not this. I hope it's not that. I'll say it's this and hoping it's just, man, when you can't define the lie, we are treading some shallow water right now, because it's some deep water, because you can't even get the truth nowadays, and they complicate things so much. This is my biggest thing with politics and everything in life. All I want at the end of the day is some fucking truth. Give me the truth. It doesn't matter what side the coin lands on. But when you can't tell me who shut the government down, because the left can get up here every day and say the right shut it down, and the right can say the left shut it down. But what about the guy that can break it down in simple terms and some simplicity ways to show me who's really pulling the trigger of shutting it down? I have a good idea, but you have no one on the right explaining. Show me a chart. They want this money to go here. They want this money to go here. Okay, right. What do you want? I want this. I want that. Is that good for me and the public, or is this what the left want? They want it scrambled. No, they get on TV every day and lie. Who shut the government down? I think the left shut it down, but they don't know how to. You have to break it down. It requires
60 votes.
I understand that.
Every Republican has voted for it. So
right. And 28 times or something like that? Maybe
I think
18.
It's 14.
Okay.
Last night was the 14th time.
Okay.
So why can't anyone get on the news and just simply eloquently explain.
Mike Johnson has. The problem
but
is,
it depends on what station you're on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 90% of the stations.
Like,
just
and
won't
that's the
say
problem with people not understanding politics as a whole. Like they still go and say that Trump should, like the left saying Trump shut it down. Trump has nothing to do with this shutdown.
But look at what you just said. Not understanding. You get these guys with these Harvard educations, they don't know how to communicate. Like Josh, if you were teaching me some financial stuff, or Jason, you guys will try to break it down where I don't know this stuff. I don't know nothing about escrow. I don't know anything about this. You know, that's like trying to talk to me about this business world. I have no fucking clue. I'm like, but if you break it down and you make it like, okay, man, I know you don't know this, but if the Dallas Cowboys were up 3 and I kicked the field goal with no more time left on the clock, I'll be like, well, it's just a tie game. It goes into overtime. But these guys get on TV and they talk like the central zones or the crencher zones create a metamorphosis throughout the atmosphere. I don't know what the fuck that is, you know.
I mean, that's actually good. If you just had someone from the Republican Party go on and a panel and say, look, you have 2 sets of powers here. You have the executive branch that handles all of our international relations, our treaties, and then we have our internal budget, the Commerce Clause. Congress is in charge of it. The president does not handle the United States budget. Also, Congress does not handle international trade deals. So, I mean, when you kind of, that since we're talking about tariffs and everything too, right? That's a very simple separation of them. But as soon as you get on, let's say you go on, MSNBC or something, and someone were to start with that premise, they would already be arguing with you, right? They would already, or distorting. I mean, you mentioned, I was thinking to myself, you mentioned Jeffrey Dahmer, right? And I was thinking, if Jeffrey Dahmer would have been black and there was an MSNBC panel, I guarantee the first thing out of somebody's mouth would be, say what you want about Jeffrey Dahmer. He was not abusing the SNAP program. I'm just telling you that's exactly where they would go with it. And then if you tried to argue, you'd be a racist.
Yeah. No. So everyone's clear. There's actually 3 branches of government. There's executive, legislative, and judicial. And so, as you were saying there, the Congress, legislative, has the power over budget. They need 60 votes. They've consistently gotten 50 to 54 in the 14 times that, like John Fetterman and I think one other Democrat has crossed the line. And man, I just got to say this quick. I actually think it's a blessing that Fetterman beat Oz. Dr. Oz.
Yeah.
Because he's an old school Democrat. Like he actually cares about his people. Yeah. Like
that's how I was raised. It was, I was very working class and still am a supporter of, if you're a hard worker, I don't care. Just you deserve to be treated well, it's like, and you have opportunities.
How are the ones that they make seem crazy, like him and MTG? Like they make them seem crazy. They're the ones making the most sense right now.
But that goes back to my point, what I said earlier. Before we read a book and judge a book, like it's the same thing with Fetterman. Everyone, he can barely talk. Oh, he's the worst. He wants this, he wants that, but he's like the most sanest one out of all of them. So I always say, I'll give you a chance. If you fumble the ball. You may score. I feel like Fetterman scored a touchdown and a 2-point conversion because he's really sane. He's really on the right side of a lot of stuff.
He has common sense.
Yeah.
And seemingly a conscience, unlike some of these others.
And he'll go against his own party.
That's right.
To push the truth over lies,
I got a lot of respect for him.
A lot of these guys that we voted for, man, they are just like the Ted Cruz's of the world, the guy with the eye patch. These guys are they're politicians, man. And they're giving the middle finger to America. I just wish we had all politicians, no outside hate coming in on us, and just think about America. Let's get America right. Then we can start helping other people.
Hey, I know how much you love hypocrisy. But I want to talk about something hypocritical going back to the elections last night. So Winsome Sears, this amazing woman who was running for, do you know much about her?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was running for governor candidate in Virginia. Black woman, former Marine.
NAACP hater and Obama hater.
She runs the Salvation Army out in that area. Spent just an immense amount of her life in service to our country and now to charitable causes. And because she had an R behind her name and not a D. Whereas just last year, it was about 12 months ago, with the election, where we were getting chastised for not voting for a black woman person. Just because she was black.
Yep.
Which I again, Kamala may or may not be black. I don't know. I think she was more Asian, whatever. But Obama and all those people out there saying that you got to vote for a black woman, he went and campaigned for the white woman who's dumb as a box of rocks. How many times?
NAACP endorsed her.
The white woman.
It shows their hypocrisy.
But that's what, and then you call all Republicans racist. Well, 45% voted for Winsome Sears, a black woman, and they're all Republicans. And 55% elected this box of rocks to office, a white woman.
Who can't even tell you who belongs in a gender bathroom.
Right.
So...
And who wore this full head suit mask into Virginia State Senate during COVID because she was that scared.
It just shows you.
I know you love hypocrisy.
No, I realize it comes from both sides. One thing I did realize, I thought about this. I said, why does the left, why does the powers to be, I think the scariest group of people on the planet are black conservatives. And I thought about it. I said,
disagree.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, black people are so afraid of black conservatives.
Oh, okay.
People are so afraid of black conservatives because all the problems of politics would be solved if every black person was a black conservative. I thought about this. You will never see a black gangbanging conservative. You'll never see an ignorant black conservative. Black conservative daughters aren't on top of cars twerking. Black conservatives aren't selling drugs. Black conservatives aren't out committing crimes upon other black conservatives. Black conservatives are free thinkers. Black conservatives are good people,
they're legal firearm owners,
and tolerant of people who disagree with them.
Yeah, they don't go crazy when someone disagrees with them. So when you get black Democrats, they can't stand you, Uncle Tom. You sell out. Then a white liberal will say, "How dare you think for yourself?" Because they are the scariest. People are so afraid of a black conservative. I'm not a black conservative. I'm just a human being. But if I was something, I'd be a black conservative. Black conservatives don't kill their kids. Black conservatives can get IDs. Black conservatives don't need crutches. Black conservatives don't need what do they call that? Affirmative action. They don't want nothing from the government. They just want to live their lives, have a beautiful family, go to college, graduate, and be productive citizens of the United States. White liberals and black liberals hate that. They want to be married to the government. They want to be controlled. And it's just, they're really afraid of black conservatives.
How disgusting and condescending is it for a white liberal to turn to a black conservative and say, "Oh, you just don't know any better"?
It's not their fault. They don't know. They don't know any better.
It's so infuriating.
What do you mean white liberals don't know any better?
They don't understand how racist they really are. They think they're the good people.
I know that, but that's what I'm saying is like and that's where I thought when you first said that's the scariest. That's the group I was going to label. It's Karen, white liberal, upper middle class women are so we won't say scariest. I'm gonna say worst people in humanity.
I'd go with worst.
Worst people in humanity, because they think they're so much better than you that you need them to lift you up.
They're also the quickest to advocate for violence, ironically, since they claim to be peace loving and accepting. But they're the first ones, doing the Charlie Kirk celebrations or screaming names or throwing rocks. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And they think they're the heroes. They think destroying people is actually helping people because they, like I say, they don't know any better. They think they want open borders until someone moves next to them. They think Black Lives Matter until a couple black families move right next door to them. And watch how quick they pack
up. Football team over for a barbecue.
Yeah. They're ready to get up out of there. They're looking out the window. We have our sign in the window, but there's some actual ones over next door. They'd freak out. They would freak the hell out.
That's a great bit where they go around, the people have them sign the petition and then they invite people in.
Where they have a bunch of Mexican dudes.
And then they wave them in and they're like, they said you can stay.
Jose, come in.
No, we can give you a jacket and a sandwich, but you got to go.
No, they can't live here.
Well, and it's all the way to the top, right? Because when I think it was a DeSantis that was sending migrants up to Martha's Vineyard,
Yeah.
right? And
They called ICE real quick.
The Obama mansion was vacant the whole time, and crickets, right? No offer, not even for a day.
They
and
got
a
them
tuna
out within
sandwich.
24
Nothing.
hours.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Not even 2 days and a sandwich. I mean, come on.
Just crazy. The hypocrisy, which that's E's favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
But I had to bring that up because it was such I watched this whole thing unfold, and I knew it was a long shot for Winsome to win, but I'm like, man, what an impressive woman. And just because she has an R behind her name, you got this, Obama, who, like, I don't recall, maybe you guys can, but like, I don't recall George W. Bush ever campaigning for anyone after he was out of presidency.
Obama's the only president that's really done that. Out of all the presidents, Obama is the one that wants to stay relevant, and he just won't go away. Jimmy Carter wasn't all up in your face. Bush wasn't all up in your face.
H.W.
Reagan
or Bush.
wasn't.
And
Obama was the first
Clinton,
one to do it.
And even Clinton really didn't. Hillary did. And
But she
Hillary
was never
still does,
president.
but she was never president.
Yeah.
But Bill never really did either.
Nah, not really.
And Trump only did it because he was running at the time. Or,
Yeah.
he would go around while he was president, but not after, to your point. I mean,
That's pretty much a first. Because Clinton would go do a little speech, but
Obama's doing it to this day.
Yeah, he's on a tour right now because he's got to be relevant, and he wants to keep his past suppressed. Because if you look at his numbers, he was just the face.
any theories on what's going on with these secret meetings he's having with
In London?
Prime Minister in London?
Mm.
Wonder if it has anything to do with those
there's
James Comey notes?
You wonder. Either that or, London's big hub for the deep state. And there was a reel I saw that talked about the last few times Obama has had secret meetings in London. There's been a major world event very shortly thereafter.
I can see that happening. Yeah, man. It's just a lot of stuff going on in America right now. Lots of stuff.
Let's switch it.
All right.
Let's switch it. We got a lot to talk about. I know, E, you started talking about some of the infighting on the right.
Mm-hmm.
Tucker, Fuentes, Candace, all this. I want to preface this with, it started a little bit before Charlie's untimely passing, but it's really intensified since.
Yeah.
And it seems like everyone's fighting for that mantle. And I don't know that we'll ever find out who really killed Charlie. It definitely wasn't that guy that got locked up. I can tell you that much.
I don't know.
That being said,
you don't think it was him?
hell no. There's so many inconsistencies with the story that has been put out.
Yeah.
I mean, just think of, just real briefly, if the gun was found in the woods, they have video of him jumping off the roof without the gun.
Oh, I did see
thought
that
he threw
video.
it down and then jumped
No,
up.
that's not on the video.
Oh.
Huh.
And because supposedly he disassembled it, then reassembled it to place it in the woods. Makes no sense.
No.
Furthermore, if they had a camera on that location that showed him running over across the roof and jumping down, where's the video of right before then? Taking the shot.
Mm.
Same camera company that they used for the Epstein.
For the Epstein jail cell.
Yeah.
But
Photo mat.
That's the and then there's a whole bunch of more inconsistencies with that story. And the angle in which that shot was taken with a supposed 30-06. 30-06 is a rifle I'd use to go deer hunting. That blows a hole quite large in a deer, let alone a human neck.
Mm-hmm.
And from the angle, he was straight on. That shot came from behind or the side.
Yeah, how can you have a straight-on shot and hit someone unless the bullet can do a little curveball?
Then we're getting to Kennedy magic bullet theory.
Yeah.
But, so bottom line is, and there's a whole bunch more inconsistencies to go with it. 22 years old, no military experience, under that type of pressure to take a human's life, that I just don't believe
That's
it.
a lot of pressure.
I just don't believe it.
So who do you think's behind it?
I'm not even going to get into that today. What I am going to get into is Charlie was the most consistent voice on the right side. Biblical in his foundation. You can agree or disagree with whatever he said, but at the same time, he was consistent.
He was a Tom Brady of the right.
Yeah.
and piling up victories.
Right.
Someone has to have something to gain from killing him. So it's about
there
breaking
was
it up.
quite a few that
who had the most to lose.
That's right.
He was the most effective mind changer of young people in America.
It's a fact.
Hands down.
That's a fact.
So like when you say Tom Brady, like it's not that far off.
Yeah.
Because you got a lot of controversial people like Tucker, like Nick Fuentes. Like Nick Fuentes, I just want to punch in the face. Like I can't stand his voice. But I can't stand Alex Jones's voice either. So it's not that like I hate them as a human being. It's just like, shut up. I just can't stand it. But bottom line is, Candace, some of these other people, very controversial on their takes and their voice. And it seems like they're going more for sound bites than they are for speaking truth like Charlie was. And so
I don't know about that. I'm a big Candace Owens fan. And I think sometimes when you learn how the sausage is made, you don't want to work for Johnsonville anymore. And once you start seeing things and understanding things and who's pulling the puppet string, you can either stay on that plantation or you can get off and speak your truth. So before I pass any judgment on Tucker, I didn't like him before. I like people who try to get to the bottom. Tucker he doesn't have anything to gain by bashing this group or bashing it. He's calling people out. I need a truth sayer. I need someone to call out a Ted Cruz instead of just going along with the program. And I don't have a dog in the hunt. See, it doesn't bother me what these people say because all I want at the end of the day is the truth. I'm not cheering for this team. I'm not cheering for red, black, or blue. I'm cheering for the truth. But see, when people start cheering for red, black, or blue, when that truth come back around your way, you start hating the truth teller. Tucker doesn't have anything. He's not doing it for money. He's calling out people for the Ukrainian war. He's calling out people for the Israeli war. He's calling out Black America. He's calling out everybody that he feels is doing wrong. And I respect him for that. I didn't respect him at first when he was saying you were unpatriotic for not going along with the Iraqi war. You know, I thought he was nuts. And he came around and said he wasn't on the right side of that. But right now, even the Fuentes guy, I don't like everything he says. He says a lot of crazy stuff, but he's got the balls to buck the system. And a lot of stuff he says is the truth, even about the Black community. Officer Tatum and these guys want to get on. No, Officer Tatum, you're the coward because Fuentes is willing. He's not bought. And you could just watch who's paying Officer Tatum. He'll do anything for $1, you know? So I like people who go against the system and it's not about the money because green will make people do anything. So,
but that's the problem right now is I don't think that we know who is speaking the truth.
Well, I mean, shit.
We knew Charlie was speaking the truth, his truth, and he was kept tying it back to biblical principles, and he accepted and came to the table with an open ear and being willing to be proved wrong with a deep history and knowledge, not only of biblical, but of history and legal system and all the judicial system, all of it.
But people evolve, and those who evolve are getting closer to solving that Rubik's Cube. It took Tucker to evolve. It took Charlie Kirk to evolve. It took Candace to evolve. It took me to evolve. I'd get on a subject until I start learning more. I'll say, whoa, I was on the wrong side of that. I was all balls to the wall for Trump. But when you start suppressing people's freedoms and start saying, listen, I want to deport the guy who just won in New York. When Trump starts saying, I want to deport him, that's some bullshit. Because you don't like what politics that's like some fucking communist shit right there. I want to deport him now. Or what's going on in Minnesota? If they want to be under Sharia law and all that other shit, let them fucking have it. You can have it. You can have it. I don't want any parts of it. But when you start talking about deporting legal citizens, you're crossing the line. Or when you got Ben Shapiro talking about let's suppress and Levine, and you're talking about coming after Tucker Carlson, a red-blooded American who's just speaking his truth, and you want to gag him because you don't like what he's saying? That's crazy.
Well, I would agree, right? Obviously, you have to allow, whoever it is, whether you're elected official or, whether you're, working at a company down the street, you have the right to say what you want to say. Mm-hmm. And you have the right to do what you want to do. The moment that what you do, right, harms somebody,
that's a different
story. That's
story.
the point at which you scoop somebody up. And if they're not supposed to be here, they go somewhere else. If they are a citizen, then they go to jail if you've harmed somebody, right, after your due process rights.
And I'm passionate about that because I wouldn't want anyone to suppress what their freedom of thought is. I don't want anyone telling them they can't say what they want to say,
right,
or deport them because you don't agree with them. That's just getting into a whole slippery slope.
But I will say this about the whole Sharia law thing. if people elect somebody to do Sharia law or whatever kind of law, it's if a policy that they enact creates a restriction on basic rights of a citizen, it's unconstitutional. Yeah. It's got to go. Right?
Yeah. And if it conflicts with the Constitution,
right,
they cannot do that either. So I was with you up until the point you started talking about Sharia law.
No, I'm saying.
Well, but if you elect them, that's what they're going to do.
No, I'm saying if you elect these people and they want to implement Sharia law on you, you got to deal with that damn problem, because I'm not going under nobody's damn Sharia law. I don't want to move to Afghanistan. I don't want to move to no Middle Eastern country. So don't bring that bullshit to my country, because I'm not going to oblige by those rules. And I just think
Biden did. That's the problem.
And I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong when you start telling a motherfucker you got to wear a hijab or whatever this shit is. If I come in your neighborhood, I don't want none of that. I didn't sign up for that. Keep that in your country. When you come to America, you live under American rules. You got doctors in Dearborn who just got arrested for mutilating these young 7-year-olds' clitoris and all of this crazy stuff. And you got these liberal judges who want to give them a break. No,
that's
lock
bullshit.
them up for 100 years. You fucking mutilating these little girls and saying this is our culture. Are you crazy? Well, keep your culture over there. I don't want that over here.
But that's the thing. You can have whatever culture, belief. You can even make whatever statements. You could go out as a doctor and say, I believe that we should, remove the clitoris of 7-year-olds.
Do that in your country.
You have the right to say that.
Yeah.
The moment you buy a scalpel and start, schedule and show up for a procedure,
you need to go. You're going to jail. You need to go to jail.
And I think that's the bright line.
Or deported.
And that's the difference between a free country and a not free country.
No, I'm not deporting. You going to jail. Then you're getting deported. That's the easy way out. I just thought that was crazy what they did to them little girls.
I'll go a step further. You're going in the wood chipper.
I don't blame. I don't mind that. That's one thing.
Remember, if you advocate and want a country of laws and not of men that get angry and throw people in wood chipper, right? If we want a country of laws,
the legal system convicts them, puts them in the wood chipper.
Again, we're not going to have it, right? But I'm just saying, if we are, it's unpalatable at times to have to deal with things that you don't like, you don't want to hear, that piss you the fuck off. But that is the only difference between our country and every other country on the planet, is that you have the right to say and do things that piss everyone else off without being deported, without going to jail. It's when you do something, it's your actions that get you held accountable. Yeah. You can say, and you may be wildly unpopular and no one wants to talk to you, but you still have the right to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. You have the right to say it, not do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But so the Sharia thing, this wasn't on my topic list, but I want to talk about this because I've been seeing some trends. If we start putting, I'm a visionary. That's how I operate in business in this world, and I can see some things that are stringing together that are a little bit scary to me. So the numbers still fluctuate, but bottom line is we got to guesstimate that there was 20 million illegals let in during Biden's 4 years. We've heard 10 to 30, so I'm just splitting the difference. But the vast majority were military-age Muslim men. Vast majority. These weren't families, breaking up families, stuff like that, although we did recover quite a few, or Trump's recovered quite a few kids that were split up. The FBI has in this time. Thousands. Well, there was 300,000 that were, essentially trafficked out of that 20 million.
Can I ask one quick interjection? Interject for a second. On day 2 of Biden's presidency, assuming he used the pen, but someone reversed the previous Trump executive order that made prosecuting child trafficking a priority of the Department of Justice. Who would reverse that on the second day?
Why?
Right. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know the answer, but
most people don't know that.
Creepy as fuck.
It's so creepy because most people don't know that.
You know what?
Liberals don't know that, and they just think that Trump's the bad guy and everything that he does. Like, what type of human and what reason could you possibly have to reverse that one issue?
And all it was saying we're going to make it a priority. What's controversial about that?
They had a congressional hearing the other day. There was a lady up there, and they were asking her, all of those kids that were coming across the border, they had an emergency hotline for like 300 and some thousand kids. Guess how many employees they had? One. That was one person working a hotline. And guess how many answer calls coming in all day? The average calls that they would accept, 2 a day. I was like,
in an 8-hour day.
Are you kidding me? That is crazy. You had one person working the hotline.
Well, they deprioritized it based on this bill or reversal or executive order or whatever it was. Yeah. Like, so here's my connection of dots that I want to talk about. So Islam's plan in all countries that they've taken over is to get in, fit in, take over.
Yep.
And so we see what's happened in Minneapolis. We see the New York City thing happen now.
How's that working for Nigeria? Killing hundreds of thousands of Christians.
And Syria.
Because of,
was it Sudan?
Yeah.
All like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm saying though. It's a scary time for us and why I think Christians need to stand up because we're typically the quiet ones. But the one thing that the left can agree on very well, because it doesn't make sense because there's a lot of contradictions on the left, right? So for example, Queers for Palestine.
Yeah.
Well, Islamists throw you off buildings.
Exactly.
How does that make sense that you would be queer and for Palestine?
Yeah.
Right. That's a contradiction. There's plenty of other contradictions.
Mamdani was at a gay bar the night before the election, like at the DJ booth with a glow stick.
Yeah. And he's Muslim.
Right.
Right. There's a whole bunch of contradictions on the left, except for one. They don't like Christians.
Yeah.
And they don't like Christian values. That's one thing they can align on. And we've been the quietest of the group. But again, we got to get louder and more active because what's happening is they take over our school boards. You look at what happened in Dearborn. It wasn't always a Muslim community. It became one.
Do you know they have prayer sirens? A siren that tells people you have a prayer over city blocks at certain times of the day.
Yeah.
If you're an American, you didn't sign up for that. Stay in your own country. If you love this stuff so much, stay there. But you don't want to be over there. But it's cool if you come over here legally, but don't come in my household and telling me the rules. I'm not with that.
Actually, I would say this. You want to come over here and you want to, at the designated times each day, if you want to kneel down and pray.
You can do that in your private house.
Go for it.
But don't make it a city law.
I had a Muslim employee that did that and had a rug in his cubicle. Like, don't care. He was a great guy.
I could care less.
But don't tell me I have to do it.
No, exactly.
Don't tell me I have to do it. I don't have to do
don't
what you do.
Don't tell stores that they can't sell bacon or alcohol.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
you can't. Yeah, exactly. But it's a scary time because if you look at these other countries that you go back in history, like what women were able to wear in Iran and Saudi Arabia, and all that before Islamists took over, like women have no rights. Gays and lesbians are killed. Like, we're on a slippery slope, and the people that are most vulnerable are aligning with the Islam. Like, it's fucking crazy.
I just don't like the hypocrisy of if someone was doing this to you, you'd be crying to the heavens. But then you turn around and you try to impose some sick laws. Like if American Girl come in your store, you can't come in unless you have your hijab on. So what if someone had this Southern mentality and tell one of these Islamic people, no, you can't drink from that water fountain. You're colored. This is for whites and this is for, they'd be crying. Oh, it's racist. It's racist over there. We don't impose sick laws on anyone else, but you think you can come over here and impose. I don't agree with your laws over there. You can listen, if you're doing it over there, it's not affecting me. But when you bring it here and I'm letting you into my house and you telling me that I have to do some crazy stuff that you do, I don't believe into that.
Well, it's not constitutionally valid here.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go ahead and try and do it, but it's not.
But they're trying to push some of that, like just these prayer sirens that's telling people you got to shut down this is our prayer time. That's on you. I can still work if I want to. I mean, it may not be total law over there, but just imposing that stuff.
If you're in London, right, and you stayed open during that time, or you said, somebody says, a guy just got arrested for saying, I can't understand you, will you speak English? And then he pointed and said racist, and then the police came and arrested him.
In London, which is totally fallen. But here's the thing is, I think it was the 70s, the CIA, there was a CIA op that came out and said that the only people that can't be controlled are Christians. Mm-hmm. And I'm really just shortening that story and segment. I think it was actually on 60 Minutes or something of that nature. But if you want to disrupt a society and actually get it to collapse, go to the one world government and decentralize everything. You're looking at what's the best way to do that. Flood our nation with a bunch of Islamists that want to infiltrate and break up all the values, all the cultural values we've held true for hundreds of years. Disrupt us, get us to fight against each other, and then look for the government or this one world solution.
Also to overload the government with debt to weaken it so that you don't have the resources. And then.
But that's a double-edged sword too, because it's just not foreigners who can do that. You have naturalized citizens who can do the same thing through media propaganda, COVID laws,
but without the other
government.
11 million new undocumented, participants who are all getting, food and other Social Security benefits, increasing the debt to an unsustainable. I mean, without you can't really break the system.
Let me prove this with just a quick stat on the New York City election. All right, so native New Yorkers nearly all voted for Cuomo or Silwa, while all the foreigners voted for the Mamdani.
Right.
All right, so how long have you lived in New York City? Less than 5 years. 83% voted Mamdani.
But it goes back to the natives who voted in the politicians who wanted open borders and sanctuary cities.
Yeah,
so
and
that's what they wanted, though.
This is exactly
why they wanted it, so that they can disrupt our normal flow of Christian values in this country and create a different revolution that's going to totally disrupt the way we've always known America to be. 5 to 10 years, 76% Mamdani. I was born in New York City, only 34%.
Yeah.
Right?
They voted for it.
Well, and the other thing too is what it was almost, I think 600,000 or maybe has it been 1 million people that have left since the last
Alex said 2 million.
Is it 2 million? Okay. I mean, it's an enormous number.
New York State.
But it's making my point too, as far as some things have to be burned to the ground. It's just, this is the infant stage. Look at over in London and stuff like that. Same mentality as New York. Now, the chickens have come home to roost. Everybody's over there saying, what have we done? We've been voting for this stuff.
It's too late there now.
Hey, so what?
Ireland's fighting back.
Ireland is fighting back. But London is lost.
Good for them. Good for them. Good for them. Listen, if you want to continue to eat donuts every day and you get fat, you can only blame yourself. Bottom line, blame yourself. Or go to the gym and try to get it right. They may have
put the donuts down.
Yeah, put the donuts down. They wanted this. They
close the box just like the border.
Yeah,
it's the spoon's fault.
That's right. These damn forks. Ban the
here's
forks.
The deal. I'm less on your side on that because I don't want to live in a.
I don't either.
I don't want to live in Saudi Arabia or
me either,
or Syria or Nigeria.
None of that.
I don't want to live. I want to live in America, America that I grew up in.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't want this revolution and this hostile takeover.
And that's the American voter fault too, because Republican voters are ignorant.
This is a white liberal Karen fault. This is what I'm putting it on.
It's both sides. It's both sides, because as much as these American, the right, the Republican voters, America First pro-American voters, they have no clue who they're voting for. Do you think average Republican voter know how bought Lindsey Graham is? Or Ted Cruz, or Mitch McConnell? They are ignorant. These people just...
Unfortunately, no, and they are.
And both sides. And the thing about it, it's our politicians who are selling us out. because it's all about the money with them. They go in broke, they come out rich, and they could care less. That's what NAFTA, TTP did to us. It was the politicians who fattened their pockets and destroyed middle-class America. There's really no politicians that really care about America other than a handful of people.
And they get labeled the crazies. Massey.
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
Fetterman, as we talked about earlier.
It's easy to be bought. You know, I have a moral compass. There's just things I wouldn't do for money. I'd rather be broke, homeless, before I take a dime from the devil. You know, but these guys, they know what they're doing. They know they're coming out and telling people wrong, especially the Black Caucus. You haven't accomplished not one thing. The NAACP, this stuff should be just demolished, because what are you doing? You're not helping the communities. The kids are getting dumber by the year. The crime is going up. Me as a CEO of a company, if I see your work performance that bad and I continue to give you another contract, it's just counterproductive. It's insanity to me.
Who funds the Black Caucus?
I don't know if it's the government thing or what.
It's not a government thing.
I don't know who funds them. I don't know.
Who funds NAACP?
Those are like nonprofit charities. I don't know.
I would have to bet it would have been like USAID and
Soros gives them a lot of
NGOs. Yeah. So NGOs fund a big portion of them. Yeah. So and NGOs, that's our money, but it's being directed by elites, like these global elites. So like we go back to this, I keep going to this Mamdani example, is like he was installed. He was handpicked, chosen. He's best buddies with Alex Soros, who funded his campaign. They're all chummy together, whatever. This dude has never held a job in his life. Shitty ass rapper. I mean, you'd run circles around him, bro.
Of course I would.
Shitty ass rapper turned city council person, has never held a W-2 job in his life. Or a 1099 for that matter.
But you're describing most politicians.
But that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Most of them are installed. That's what I'm saying. They get these puppets that they know that they can control. They're not getting real business owners. Like if Jason ran, or if like even Eric Hovde, he wasn't going to be bought and controlled. He already had enough money. So the point I'm making is the AOC, she was a fucking bartender.
Yeah.
She's going to fall in line with whoever's paying her bills. And that's what we have as politicians, are puppets, not independent thinking people. We have a handful like Massey. And that's why I got pissed at Trump too for going after him. I was like, don't go after one of the only real ones. Mm-hmm. Rand Paul, one of the only real ones. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So most of these politicians are installed and puppeteered.
But that's shame on people who run for Congress, because it is not that hard to reach the public if you have a genuine campaign, and if you are a genuine person who's willing to say, this isn't going to make or break me. I'm doing this for you. If I'm not a politician.
That's how it used to be.
But if I was a politician, I don't care how much money someone's going. First of all, I'm not taking any money. I'm going to be broke riding up in my old Mercedes Benz. I don't want your money. First of all, I'm going to tell people, don't send me no campaign money. I don't want a dime from you.
No one would know who you were.
Yes, you would. Yes, you could. You can understand. If you start with the grassroots and you talk to people, they're going to say, man, this guy is for real. This is my whole campaign.
But the problem
I'm America first. I don't care about the swamp. I don't care about Republican or Democrat. I care about Americans. And there's going to be no outside money. There's going to be no big pharma. I'm not going to belong to anyone but the people. Now, what do you guys want? Talk to me.
And here's what the establishment would do. They would take their proverbial double-barrel shotgun, and in one barrel, they put complete censorship and control of the media to control everybody, let's say, the boomers and up, right? Who only watch, old school legacy media and don't know how to really uncover a lot of the factual information or unedited videos of a leader speaking. So that's one side.
Well, can they stop a debate?
Hold on. That's the 60 and up. And then you have the other barrel that is filled with the Department of Education, local school boards, and let's indoctrinate children from kindergarten all the way up through undergrad. And then you have this huge swath of people who no longer have the ability to think critically. And now you've really captured probably 2/3 of the American people in a way that prevents them from, even if they hear your message, if they're lucky enough to hear it, they just won't understand it or they won't believe it.
It didn't work against Trump. It didn't work against Trump.
Yeah,
and it sure as hell didn't work against this guy in New York.
It worked one time.
It didn't work
They
against
cheated
this.
one time.
It didn't work against this guy in New York because they tried everything to suppress him, and he ended up winning because the people.
No, they didn't. No, see, you're wrong on that.
How am I wrong on that?
They did not try to suppress him. They had him out in front of everything, and Soros and all the money. It's all money in politics right now. This is the problem. So my buddy Adam Smith is running for Congress down in North Carolina, and he's running. He's primarying another Republican that didn't show up when the flood. He was at the tasting room. I introduced you to him.
Right.
Former Army Ranger, Green Beret, and he needs money because he's not going to beat this Republican rhino if he doesn't. This dude disappeared when the hurricane happened. Adam went to save his 3-year-old daughter. Luckily finds her alive. And then he stays for the next 6 months running operations to save other people's lives, give them water, give them hope, and ran total operations using his military experience. He's been tasked to primary this dude that didn't show up, just like FEMA didn't show up. He's running as a Republican, but he will bust anyone up, doesn't matter what their name is. The problem, and he's already gotten the feedback as well, is if he doesn't raise $1 million, he will not have the bandwidth to get to the people to win that election.
I just think you got to start with grassroots. You got to take advantage of social media, and you got to really come from the heart and really deliver. And you can't play politics. I just want something genuine. I don't care.
That would work at the city council level.
You think so?
Maybe. But beyond that, I just don't.
Well, let me make this point too. If you're listening to this, donate to Adam R. Smith's campaign and get that man elected, because he will be a bull in a china shop in Congress.
Need a few of those.
And we need more of those. He will not care. He will put America over everyone else. He already turned AIPAC down.
Yeah.
They called him.
Yeah.
He said, no, thank you, but no thank you.
It ain't just AIPAC, Big Pharma, media, all of this stuff that you have to do a favor for a favor. I don't think you should be accepting that type of money at all, you know.
Agree, but that's where you need citizens like us to go and donate to that campaign. The max you can donate is $7,500. I got that info as well. But bottom line is that's where you need citizens to get behind real American people like that can actually go mess up this dirty swamp of people that are just in it for themselves.
Yeah.
You need more than just a handful up there, because you see what Massey fights against. You see what Rand Paul fights against. If they cross the line and vote no, like they have on this bill, because we need to reduce spending. We need to reduce the deficit, and that's what they're all about, because they're more libertarian than anything. And then they get chastised by their own party. You need more than a handful fighting for us, the people, when you have, 300 total between Congress and Senate?
Oh, I think it's more than that.
350 or something?
Yeah, maybe 360.
Yeah, it's not more than 400. But
I think
anyhow,
a lot of these guys.
Let's say you have 5 good ones.
Right.
There's a major difference.
Nothing gets done with that.
When you come into a political race blind instead of locked and loaded. And that's what made Charlie Kirk so good. It wasn't the money behind him. It was him factually beating you in a debate without trying to win a debate. If you come with something, he'll say, okay, but his points were so good that they were undeniable. You know, you couldn't piss on his leg and say it was raining, because he would dispute that. And that's the thing. A lot of these politicians, they go into these races because they're playing the game. I want to make you feel good. No, if I'm coming in there, I can counter every lie that you say, and I can back up every truth that I say, and I can admit to the faults that I have. But it's not about me winning. It's about me having an honest conversation with you instead of playing a politician. And this is what most politicians do from Trump on down. It's not that easy to tell the truth about myself. If Jason was asking me, what did you do this morning? I'm not going to come in here with a political angle. Well, I did 900 push-ups just to, I went to the tasting room, had a cigar. I talked to my buddy Jason. I went over to my buddy Josh's house, and we did a podcast. It's simple as that. Now you can know what I did, but everyone wants to be, I want to be liked over here. I can't answer that question because I'm playing both sides on this. No, there's no both sides in a real debate, Show me your strong points. Just like when I say they can't even explain who's shutting down the government. It shouldn't be that hard. I could simply show you. They want this money to go over here for
non-US
sex
citizens.
changes over here in Afghanistan. I want this money
And
for
non-citizens.
veterans. You know, it's just simple as that. Break it down and you make a decision. If you wanted to go over there, oh, the better man won. But I'm America. I want this money for something good. And it shouldn't be that hard for me to explain that. But they make everything so complicated. It's almost on purpose. You can't, this is the thing that really gets me. You can't tell me someone's breaking a law, but you can't enforce the law on politicians. Oh, Comey did this. They did that. And I'm sitting here saying, you're saying they did this, but is there going to be any punishment for these crimes? How do you get away with these clear-cut crimes? And I got to sit back and say, well, nothing's going to happen to you. You know, if my car gets hit and I got insurance and you got insurance, I'm pretty guaranteed I'm about to get paid. But when they say, Letitia James did this and Comey did that, and I have to sit back and tell myself, nothing's going to happen to them. That means you've been bullshitting the whole time, because the law should be the law on both sides, Republican or Democrat. If you cross that line, you should be afraid of the repercussions. But nowadays, it's like that doesn't, we let each other go on that all the time. The FBI is not going to investigate that because they've all been playing this game on us. And I'm sick of that.
Agreed.
It should be both sides.
That's
Agreed.
one of your best rants yet. I love it.
It's just the truth, man. It's the truth.
Yeah, what was the list besides illegal immigrants that they wanted money for? It was sex changes somewhere.
Well, you really don't need to get past that. But the reality is, I mean, if I think there's actually a separate question or separate answer here, though. I think there's a deal to be had if the Democrats could simply say, we will sign off on any CR that whatever you guys want, but we will agree to a ban on this money being used for any non-U.S. citizen. Like, I think they could probably still get some money out of the Republicans if they were to say, but it's only going to be for U.S. citizens. I mean, I know that's not the position. I get it. But if they really were going to hammer out a deal, it would be something like that.
Because the Democrats are holding on to the loophole.
But the other things, right, it was reinstate all one big beautiful bill funding for PBS, for NPR, all of the COVID subsidies, which is a handout to teachers unions. And then it was some of the sex change money for the hospitals.
Different countries.
Some here, some in other countries. And then, the healthcare for non-U.S. citizens.
Would you hear what he just said?
Unbelievable.
Now, Jason just broke that down. And you say, Johnson's going on TV. If Johnson could explain
here's the 4 things I can't vote for.
Yeah. But it's almost like they want the confusion, because Johnson should be on TV saying, I don't care if it's
they 100%
the left,
want the confusion.
Right.
If it's the left or the right, a public news station should not be biased toward either political group. I don't want it for the right or the left. If you're not down the middle, you don't get the money, and as far as letting the Democrats get away with this loophole, you telling the Democrat you want medical aid for illegal immigrants, and they get on TV and they say, no, we don't. Which is kind of right, because they'll say it's not going directly through them. It goes through Medicaid, and they turn around and they charge the government. That's a loophole. And you let them swindle through that loophole because they can say, legally, I can say no. It's almost money laundering. You know what I'm saying? So
100%. Well,
here's the game. I'll say this about the rhinos, right? Here's the game for the rhinos. You said they want the confusion. Totally agree. Here's the game. You're on the rhinos. You're the old school establishment that's taken a bunch of, back channel donations to your, wife's, nonprofit, whatever. So you say, I'm going to protect America. I'm going to hold the line. We're going to keep the government shut. But you don't do as good a job as you could articulating the 5 things you won't agree to. You just let this play out. America gets anxious, angry, suffers, blames both sides, so much so that the rhinos then say, fine, they capitulate, and then the big pharma and these other hospitals, whatever, that are in their back pocket saying, when you go ahead and work out a deal with the Democrats, we'll take care of you too. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's crazy. To your point on the Johnson thing, I'll just say this really briefly. It's something that I've noticed over the last, 2 decades anyhow, but why does every politician need a speechwriter? Why can't you actually just talk? I'm so tired of seeing a teleprompter in front of them or a paper in front of them, and they got to read those words instead of actually just explaining the real shit.
Talking points.
It's a quality of candidate problem.
No, it's kind of talking points too. It's how do we navigate through this maze instead, because
it's navigating the bullshit or perpetuating the confusion. Like they're being directed to say certain things instead of actually just like Fetterman, when he goes on, he does not have any talking points. He does not have a sheet in front of him.
Yep.
You think it's purely control? You think that these people are articulate enough to be able to lay out what's going on?
I don't know.
If you're
I don't think any of them
should
need
know
to be.
what's going on.
So again, go back to Fetterman.
Yeah.
He is not articulate. He is not someone that you're going to go pay to see speak. But he speaks from his heart and he says what the real is. I don't give a shit if he sounds like Tony Robbins.
Right.
I want to hear the truth, just like he's been harping on.
I'm a prime example of that.
Sincerity works.
Yes. I mean, authenticity works.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's like, I'm not no poli-sci student. I'm just a regular damn guy, but I'm passionate about what I believe in. And one thing people will get from me is he's saying what he feels. I'm not saying I'm always right or whatever, but I'm just telling you how I feel without being sponsored to come spew some bullshit. Like most people in politics, you're supposed to say that. I like Fetterman because he says what he feels. And sometimes simplicity goes a long way. It goes a long way. And you can, actually take in more from something that's simple more than something that's complicated. So a lot of the well-spoken narrators and debaters, they go over the general public's head. I'd get on stage with anyone. I guarantee you when I walk away, they'll be like, he didn't know all the big words, but he really was passionate about what he talked about. That's what made Charlie Kirk really good. Yeah. He combined both of those. So
yeah, he knew the big words.
I'm not a poli-sci student, but I'm not a poly-wanna-cracker parroting other people's bullshit either.
I'll say that one for next time.
Yeah. You didn't have any jokes today either, but I don't know if Jason notices how many girls have blown up E's phone since we sat down.
It's a lot.
Mr. Popular over
that
here.
was, my buddy, I was supposed to take him to a job interview with Google.
What's his name under?
No, it was Juan. And
that's not the names I saw popping up.
That was probably his wife, but we ended up going earlier today, and I'm sitting in the lobby. The lobby was beautiful up at Google, and he's in there, so I could hear inside. I'm like, come on, Juan. And the lady was looking at his resume, and she said, Juan, there's a 4-year gap of your resume. He said, I can explain that. And she said, well, what was going on for 4 years? He was like, I was at Yale for 4 years. And she was like, oh, it's a pretty prestigious college. He said, yeah, it's a really good school. So she said, let me go talk to my boss. So she's back there talking to her boss. And she's like, well, Juan has 4 years of Yale. He's like, he may be overqualified for this position, but offer him the job anyway. We may be underpaying him, but who cares? So she comes back. She gives him the job. So as soon as he gets out, he calls his wife and he said, honey, I got the job.
Yeah, jail. Yeah, I got it. It wasn't good though.
Holy smokes.
That was a long joke to not be funny.
A long joke with short laughter.
Honey, I got the job. Okay.
Anyhow,
that wasn't a banger.
Let me close with something good. We can't close with that. So, to the audience, it's been interesting to me to watch this unfold over the last, 8 years or so, where could you imagine waking up every day and being told or looking for something to be outraged by?
No.
And that's how half of our society lives right now.
Yeah.
Right? At least half.
Yeah.
But outrage doesn't build culture. Wisdom does. Right? Cultural values are built upon. Outrage is not something that can build or sustain culture. And too often we're being told or fueled with bullshit, confusion, or talking points to be outraged by. And so I just want people to contemplate that as we go forward, is outrage doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
You can fuel a protest, but we got to start building in the communities, taking back our rightful claims based on our Constitution, and start building back our country from the bottom up, because it's not happening from the top down.
My thing that I walk away with is I notice when everything bad is your good, it says everything about you. When abortion is something that you campaign on, which I think is bad, but it's good for you, when war is good for you instead of peace, when you are pushing to starve people and cut off their benefits, but you're trying to benefit from that, and that's what's good for. See, shutting down the government is good for the Democrats right now. That says a lot about you when bad is good for you instead of something good being good for you. That's just crazy to me. Everything that's bad. And that's
what Fetterman called his own party out.
Yeah. And that when you look for chaos and when everything that's bad is something that's good for you and bring you votes, it says everything about you. You're working for Satan, if you ask me. Yeah. So.
Any closing thoughts, Jason?
My closing thought would be, I was talking to actually Rocky and some other guys that had started out very small and built world-renowned successful businesses. I spent some time listening to them, and my wife and I were talking about this, and I was trying to just sort of boil down what was the common theme. And I think, basically you talk a lot about what it is to build things and to build a community, a family, a business. And I think it all boils down to heart and hustle. It's you've got to start with passion, but compassion and passion, right? You can't just think about me. You got to think about all the people you're building, raising the boat up along with. And if you don't have passion, it doesn't get you off your ass to fuel you to get to the next step, which is it's the hustle, right?
Yeah.
Hard work works. You can't sit around, have all the passion in the world, but not get after it. The other thing is you get out and hustle, you're running on a treadmill because you don't have the passion to find a direction or a purpose. I liked the way it sounded, and whenever I think of people that I really respect and that have accomplished something and have good relationships, heart and hustle.
But one doesn't work without the other.
And one does not work without the other.
That's good shit.
It's wise, Rocky. Shout out Rocky Patel. All right, Spartans, you know what to do. Share this episode far and wide. Remember, the good and great are the enemies of possible. Lead like a Spartan today.